Have you ever wondered where we all come from? Not just our parents or grandparents, but the very first humans. It's a question that has fascinated us for centuries. And today, we're going on an incredible journey back in time. Millions of years, to a place often called the cradle of humankind. East Africa. This story doesn't start with us, Homo sapiens. It begins much, much earlier. Picture this. Between 6 and 7 million years ago, the African continent was undergoing massive geological changes. The land was shifting, mountains were rising, and a vast rift valley was tearing through the eastern part of the continent. This is the Great Rift Valley, a place of stunning beauty and profound scientific importance. These environmental shifts created a mosaic of new habitats, from dense forests to open savannas. For the primates living there, it was a time of immense pressure. Adapt or die, and adapt they did. Out of this crucible of change, a new lineage of apes began to walk on 2 feet. This wasn't a sudden switch. It was a gradual process, likely driven by the need to see over tall grasses, carry food, or travel more efficiently as forests receded. One of our earliest known bipedal ancestors is Sahelanthropus chadensis, found not in East Africa, but further west in Chad. Its fossil, nicknamed Tumai, dates back around 7 million years. While its exact place on our family tree is debated, Tumai shows us that the journey to walking upright was already underway. But the real treasure trove of early human fossils lies in the heart of the Great Rift Valley, in places like Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania. Fast forward to about 4.4 million years ago, and we meet Ardipithecus ramidus, or Ardi. Discovered in Ethiopia, Ardi's skeleton was a game changer. She could walk upright, but she also had grasping big toes, suggesting she was equally comfortable climbing in the trees. Ardi represents a fascinating transitional phase, a link between our tree-dwelling past and our ground-walking future. She wasn't a knuckle-walking chimp, nor was she a fully committed biped. She was something new, a creature of 2 worlds. Then, about 1 million years after Ardi, we encounter one of the most famous figures in all of paleoanthropology, Lucy. Lucy belongs to the species Australopithecus afarensis, and her discovery in 1974 in Hador, Ethiopia, was monumental. Her skeleton, about 40% complete, provided undeniable proof of full-time bipedalism around 3.2 million years ago. Her hip and knee structure were remarkably similar to ours, built for walking. Imagine Lucy and her kin strolling across the ancient savanna. They weren't tall, maybe about 3.5 feet, but they were pioneers, exploring a world on 2 legs. The famous Latoli footprints in Tanzania, preserved in volcanic ash from 3.6 million years ago, give us a hauntingly beautiful snapshot of this reality 3 Australopithecines walking together, leaving behind tracks that would tell their story millions of years later. But why was walking upright so important? It freed up the hands, and free hands can do amazing things. They can carry babies, gather more food, and eventually make tools. This brings us to the next major leap in our evolution, the dawn of technology. Around 2.6 million years ago, in places like Gona, Ethiopia, we find the earliest known stone tools. These aren't fancy, arrowhead-like tools. They're simple choppers and flakes, known as the Old One toolkit. They were made by striking one rock against another to create a sharp edge. It might seem basic, but this was a revolutionary cognitive leap. It required planning, foresight, and skill. These tools could be used to butcher animal carcasses, break open bones to get at the nutritious marrow, and process tough plant materials. This newfound access to high-energy food, especially meat and marrow, was crucial. And who were these first toolmakers? For a long time, we thought it was the first member of our own genus, Homo. Meet Homo habilis, the handyman who lived from about 2.4 to 1.6 million years ago, with a slightly larger brain than the Australopithecines and a less projecting face. Homo habilis was long considered the primary candidate, but recent discoveries suggest that some Australopithecines might have also made tools, blurring the lines of who gets the credit. The key takeaway is this: the ability to create technology fundamentally changed our ancestors' relationship with their environment. They weren't just reacting to it anymore. They were starting to shape it to their needs. This access to better nutrition, particularly protein and fat, likely fueled the expansion of the most energy-hungry organ in our bodies, the brain. And that leads us to the next major player on the scene: Homo erectus. Appearing in East Africa around 1.9 million years ago, Homo erectus was a game-changer in every sense. They were taller, with body proportions much more like modern humans. Their brains were significantly larger than those of Homo habilis. The most famous Homo erectus fossil is the Turkana boy, an astonishingly complete skeleton of a young boy found near Lake Turkana in Kenya. He would have grown up to be nearly 6 feet tall. Homo erectus was not only a more sophisticated toolmaker, creating the more refined Acheulean hand axes, but they were also the first of our ancestors to venture out of Africa. Fossils of Homo erectus have been found as far away as Georgia, China, and Indonesia. This was the first great human migration, a testament to their incredible adaptability. And what enabled this expansion? One powerful tool: fire. While the exact timing is debated, evidence suggests that Homo erectus was controlling fire. Fire provided warmth, protection from predators, a way to cook food, making it easier to digest and more nutritious, and a social focal point. Imagine them gathered around a campfire under the African stars, sharing food and stories. It was a pivotal moment in our social evolution. For millions of years, East Africa was the stage for this incredible evolutionary drama. Different species of hominids coexisted, competed, and evolved. It wasn't a simple, linear progression from one species to the next. It was more like a bushy tree, with many branches, some of which thrived and continued, while others went extinct. We had species like Paranthropus, Boisei, the nutcracker man, with enormous jaws and teeth for grinding tough plants, living alongside the more adaptable members of our own genus, Homo. So where do we, Homo sapiens, fit into all of this? The fossil and genetic evidence overwhelmingly points to a recent African origin. Our species emerged in Africa around 300,000 years ago. The oldest known Homo sapiens fossils were found not in East Africa this time, but at a site called Jebel Irhoud in Morocco. However, genetic studies of modern populations consistently point to East Africa as the likely launchpad for the Great Migration that would eventually populate the entire planet. Sometime between 60,000 and 70,000 years ago, a small group of Homo sapiens left Africa and began their journey across the globe. Every single person alive today who is not of purely African descent can trace their ancestry back to this small, brave group of explorers. It's an awe-inspiring thought. The rich tapestry of human diversity we see across the world today has its roots in the savannas and rift valleys of East Africa. The struggles and innovations of our ancient ancestors, learning to walk upright, crafting the first tools, harnessing fire, and developing complex social bonds all happened there. They laid the foundation for everything that followed: art, agriculture, cities, science, and the screen you're watching this on right now. So, the next time you look in the mirror, remember the epic journey that led to you. It's a story written in stone and bone, a story of survival, innovation, and exploration that began millions of years ago under the vast African sky. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey back to the dawn of humanity. If you found this as fascinating as I do, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into the past. Let me know in the comments what part of this story amazed you the most. Until next time, stay curious.